tech user is logged out again. So let me unlock it. We'll unlock the user and then proceed with the session. Go to users, search for fusion.tech user. It is in log state at the moment. Edit it and unlock it. Save and close. Try to log in again with the same password. Yeah, it works now. And we've seen how to create a normal extract yesterday, and today we're going to see how to create an incremental extract. And the way incremental extracts work is, every time you run it, it will only pick the records that are changed after the previous successful run. Okay? And you would typically have some use cases for this as well, for this type of extracts. Like as and when something is created in ERP cloud, such as an employee or a job or a position, it needs to be passed on to a different system as an input. Okay, or so whatever could be the data entity. Whenever something is created anew or updated, if that needs to be passed on, if that information needs to be passed on to the downstream systems in an automated way, you can achieve that by building an incremental extract. So you create an incremental extract. There are a few bits that you need to take care of, but to make the extract behave as an incremental extract. And once you build it, you can schedule it so that schedule it to run probably every half an hour or 1 hour, or depending time period. Again, depends on the customer. So it depends on whatever they say. If they say schedule it for 10 minutes, you can schedule it for 10 minutes. And every 10 minutes, the extract gets kicked off, and it looks at the records that are updated or created anew after the previous successful run, generates a file, places it in a destination. It could be UCM or SFTP, and the downstream application picks it up and loads it at their end. And how do we build this? How do we build this extract? It's pretty much the same way as we have built the normal extract with a few changes. Okay, so go to My Client Group, Data Exchange. Extract definition. We've created a couple of them yesterday, and let's create a new one again. And let's call it as FT14. Incremental HCM extract. And the first major change between a normal and an incremental extract is, for incremental extract, you need to ensure that this checkbox is ticked. Okay, so we're going to build this as a changes only extract or incremental extract. So ensure that this is ticked. For normal extract, we have unchecked it. Or for the first extract that we have built. Select the formula type. You can select it as HR archive. Leave this as checked. This is one change. And if you scroll down, since you have enabled the changes only checkbox, you could see that apart from effective date, there are two more parameters that got added called baseline only and changes only. So we'll see what these options are. I'll explain them when we are about to run the extract. Okay, so these parameters gets displayed on that screen, and I'll explain it at that point. And let's go ahead and design the extract. Let's call it as persons. Select the person user entity. And you need to select a threading database item here. So what do you need to select as a threading database item? Usually you will pick up the primary key of the entity that you pick up here. So if you pick up person, you select person ID here. If you pick up assignment, you pick up assignment ID here. How will this be used by HCM extracts? So this threading database item will be used by HCM extracts internally to identify what records have been updated after the previous successful run. So this is a second prerequisite to make the extract work as an incremental one. First is ticking the changes only checkbox, and second is this. So click on the threading database item, click on the drop down and pick up the person ID column. You can apply filters if you want. You go to filters tab, add in the same filter that we applied yesterday. Person type equal to EMP. Okay. Save the data group. Let's add a record. No, not a child data group. Let's add a record. And let's call it as person details. Photo attributes, and let's add in few attributes there. And you need to select the threading database item that you have selected at the data group level. You need to select it as an attribute here. Extract person ID. You can pick up the person number. Select the person first name and the last name. And another major and the third point that you need to take care of is add the threading database item as an attribute, and click on that attribute, and there will be few fields in here. So you can hide the attribute if you want to mark it as required. You can play around with the properties. But two key checkboxes that you need to tick here are these two. Select mark as changed and select it as key attribute. Just select the threading database item, add that column, add the database item as an attribute, and tick these two boxes, which will ensure that persons which are updated or created anew after the previous successful run will be marked as changed, and they will be picked up in the next extract. You're marking this as key attribute here because you have picked this up as a threading database item. Click OK. Save. We will not add assignments and all that stuff for this one because we already know how the parent-child relationship works here, right? So we have already created one. Let's go to deliver options. Set up upload to UCM. Select Web Center content. Give it a name. and you can select the encryption mode is none, not required. Give a name to the integration. Save. Validate the extract and run it. There's only one fast formula created this time because there is only one record. Okay, extract is validated, and we can go ahead and run the extract now. Submit the extract. And when we are submitting the extract, so the way this works is we're going to submit the incremental extract 3 times. First time when we submit it, all the employees should get extracted, of course, which matches the filter criteria. And will not edit any employees after the first successful run. So what will happen is all the employees get extracted, and they will be marked as and the extract that is generated is marked as baseline version. And when you run the extract for the second time without updating any employee, the output should be blank. You should not see any employees in the second run. And before we run it for the third time, we will pick up one of the employees that was extracted in the first run. We will update it, probably change the first name or the last name, and we will run the extract for one final time, a third time. And in the third time, the output generated in the third run should have only the employee that you have updated. And this gives us a confirmation that yes, the extract is working in an incremental way. Okay, so we'll run the extract first with mode as changes only mode, and all the employees should get extracted, and file should be uploaded to UCM as well. Run it one more time. You should not see any employees extracted because none of them would have been updated since the previous successful run, unless someone is working in the instance at the moment. And the third time, and after that we will pick up an employee, update it, and we'll run the extract for third time. And in the third run, you should see only the employee that you have updated. Okay, let's go ahead and execute the extract thrice. Run one, select the effective start date, and you see this changes only and baseline only options. So the changes only options, you click on the drop down and pick up changed attributes. So you've got a few options here, and there are very subtle differences between these options. If you are interested, please do read about them as well. Usually we pick up changed attributes, but if you want to know what are the subtle differences between these options, you can probably read more about them. But pick up changed attributes. And there is one field called, there's another parameter called baseline only. So what this means is, in the first extract, so this will determine whether the file needs to be generated with all the employees in the first run or not. So we are basically establishing a data flow between HCM and another application, right? So for that reason only we are building this extract. Probably we might have to send it to a downstream system. And if that downstream system has already, if it already has all the employees, so it could be a case that you might have loaded the employees from that downstream system into HCM cloud in first place. And in such cases, there is no need to send all the employees in the first extract because those already exist in the downstream systems. In such case, you can run the extract for the first time with a baseline only option as yes. So if it is a blank or no, that means extract will generate a file with all the employees and it will upload it to UCM. But if you run it with yes as an option, it's a way of telling HCM that just run this extract, but use it only for baselining purposes. Don't upload the file to UCM because the downstream system already has the file or already has all the employees. Okay, so that is the meaning of this baseline only. We will keep it as blank, or you can also select it as no. But if you want to try out how it works, you can run it with yes later on when you're practicing. But what will happen when you submit this with yes? If you submit this with yes, baseline only yes means run the extract, generate the output, but use that output only for baselining purposes, not to send it to the downstream system. Okay, you can schedule it, but we will go with the default option, which is to run as soon as possible and submit it. Okay, let's wait for a couple of minutes for this extract to finish.
Yeah, Prasad. Hello.
It's not.
Yeah, Prasad. Can't we create prompts over here? Any input I want to keep it.
A parameter, you can add it as a parameters. It's fine. So if you want to restrict the employees by any other parameter, you can go to the extract. There is a parameter section, right, in the define tab. You can add parameters in there and go to filter, add in the condition that you want. Okay. So say for example, you want to extract employees by person number or say by business unit. What do? You go to the define tab of the extract, add in a new parameter there, and you go to the design tab. There you have let's go back. Let's leave it like this. Let's pick up the other one. So if you want to add a parameter, you can add it this way. You can say, probably add in whatever parameter you want. Say, for example, if you want to, we normally don't do it by person number or things like that, but you can probably do it by a business unit or something else, something like that. So you can say a business unit. Select the data type. Save it. And you go to design. Go to persons. So we are already in the persons tab. Go to the filter and add in a filter again. So you can add in and condition and you can select that field. So you can select what field you want to apply the filter on. Okay, select that field and you can apply the filter here. So we don't have an option to apply the filter by other fields. We have the start date and we have other fields here. So if you're probably receiving something else. So currently we have, what did we do? We have hard coded the person type as EMP, right? Imagine you want to get this as an input itself instead of hard coding it. So what you can do, you can go to define tab. Yeah, you can probably define a parameter and you can pass it as person type text. Go to design. Edit this. And here you can select the parameter person type and add it. Okay, so this way you are selecting only the persons, or you're applying a filter to select only the persons of the type that you pass as input. And once you do this, save and validate the extract. And if you and this time if you try to run the extract, it will prompt you to pass an additional parameter called a person type. So you can pass in a value there. Okay, so you see an option to pass in a value, and you can pass this as EMP here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one doubt.
Let's go back and one.
Prasad,
Yes.
The HCM extract is there and busting reports are there. Both are behaving like the same now. Like, what is the main difference? The busting report also we can send the data based on where we want to load the data. If we want to send it to UCM or FTP, the same features are there.
Correct. The same features are there, but the only difference is Oracle is trying to make your life easy in case you are poor in SQL. So yesterday, before beginning the HCM extracts itself, I explained that if you want to build outbound integrations, like extract something from Fusion applications and pass it on to other applications, if it is a financial or supply chain management, you can use these three options. If it is HCM, again, you can use these three options. Say, for example, if you have to build the HCM extract that we have created yesterday, pull the person and assignment details, you could also build a BIP report. You can implement a bursting in a BIP report, and you can achieve the same result. Okay? But we created it as a HCM extract yesterday. And how did HCM extract help us? If you ask me, there's no difference. You can achieve the use case using BIP or HCM extract. If you have probably 1 day more time, or if you have patience to identify the tables, write the SQL queries yourself, you can obviously go for VA Publisher report. There's nobody will stop you. But if you don't have patience to write SQL queries, identify the tables, come up with the join conditions and all that stuff, then you can create it as a HCM extract if you want. That's the only difference. In the case of HCM extracts, instead of you writing the SQL query, Oracle has written that query for you, those queries for you, and they have exposed those, and those queries are exposed as user entities. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's nothing that stops you from creating a BIP report. You can very well create it as a BIP as well and deliver the files.
Okay.
So let's go back to the flow and let's see what happened to our request. So let's go to view extract results. So this is the extract run that we have submitted, incremental extract run 1. Scroll down. You should see the file generated and uploaded to UCM. So open the UCM. copy the content ID and search for it. And you see the XML, open it. Okay, you could see the employee details pulled, and you could see that all the employees are pulled, a file generated and uploaded to UCM. Okay, let's go ahead and run the extract one more time. But this time, from the previous run, nothing has been updated in the instance. None of the employees are updated or created. So let's go ahead and search for the extract and run it one more time. Run 2. And the expectation is to see a blank output now with just the report definition and the parameters, because no employee has been updated after the previous run. And since we have built this as an incremental extract, and since no person is updated, the output of run 2 will be blank. And after the run 2 completes, we will verify the output, and then we will pick up one of the employee from here, and we will update their first or last name, and we'll run the extract for one final time.
Prasad, this file type you are giving manually, that you are giving .xml. So only .xml only will be created that file?
Yeah, the output of the HCM extract will be in XML format by default.
Then Oracle they can give that directly that anything. We are writing something like .xml. So we are manually writing that is not the preferable. And one more in top also, data type is there. There also you are sure that there are multiple, we can see in the data in the PDF format.
Yeah, you can change the, okay. HCM extract by default generates output in XML format. Whether you use a .xml in the output file name or not, if you don't use .xml, a file gets saved with the name that you give. If you don't give .xml, that's also fine. A file gets generated, but if you download it, and when you try to open it, you will still see the XML output. But since it's XML output, I have used .xml. It's not that since I have used .xml in the extension, extract is not generating output in XML format. Okay. And the second point is to convert this XML into very rarely you might come across such scenario. I haven't come across that scenario so far. But in case you have to convert this XML into a readable format such as a PDF or other formats, I've given the steps in the PPT that you can follow to achieve it. So what did we do to convert XML generated by BIP report data model? We have created a BIP report layout, right? Remember in the BA publisher, we created data model. What did data model generate? It has created XML output. To convert that XML into a more readable format, what did we do? We created RTF document, right?
Yes.
You have to do the same thing here. You have to create an RTF document. And to create that RTF document, I've given the steps here. Will not be performing these steps, but you can go through it and do it yourself. Okay, so what you can do is from the extract, you can generate the XST. You can do it from a validate screen. That will export XML schema, and you can open up a new Word document, create an RTF template to print the details in whatever way you want, or include whatever fields you need in that. and then you upload the template to the reports and analytics work area. And after you do that, you can go to the delivery options. And in the delivery options, what did we do? We have gone ahead with the data option, right? So instead of a data option, so you go to extract definition. So you go to validate first. You can export XML schema from here. It will generate an XSD file. You can open up a new Word document. And you can save it as with a .rtf extension. Okay, and you can load in that. Go to BA Publisher, and instead of loading XML sample XML, you will load in XML schema. You can load in the schema that you have exported, XSD, and then you can start defining the template. So defining the RTF template, we have seen it in detail in the BAP module, right? So you can go ahead and define it. So you can, just to show you, you can insert a table if you want. I don't have an option but to terminate this. Let's go to the Word document. Let me open the document again. BA Publisher, load in the schema. And you can insert a field. You can select what fields you want to insert. And if you want to say print the person number, a person first name, last name in a table, you can insert those fields into a table. And you can come up with a detailed RTF layout. And after you come up with a detailed RTF layout, you can upload it to a reports and analytics work area. And after you do that, you go back to the report, go back to the extract again. And you go into Deliver tab. And on the Deliver tab, in the output data type, you can select the data type that you want to generate the output in. So if you want to generate the output in PDF or CSV, change it to PDF or maybe CSV. It's up to you. And then you need to select the report and the template name. So here in the report, you will mention the report that you have defined. Okay, you need to give the absolute part of the report, again without a shade keyword. So if you upload this report to the reports and analytics work area to this particular path, you can select the path and upload the report path here and give the template name. Because remember, report can have multiple layouts, right? Or multiple templates. Pick up what template needs to be used to convert the XML generated by HCM extract into CSV. And after you select these two options, you can select the output type as CSV, because the XML generated by HCM extract will be passed as input to this template, and this template will convert it into CSV. And a CSV file gets uploaded to UCM. But this is not something that you will be prompted to do, because in case of reports, it makes sense because user needs to understand that. But in case of extracts, XML is pretty fine.
Okay, then I got it.
Let's go back to the previous screen and see what happened to our second run. Click on view extract results. You see the output generated again. Search for this content ID. Not sure why it's taking so much time. Search for it and you will see an extract generated. And this is our second run. So in the second run, as you can see, there is only the parameter section, but you don't see any persons extracted, because after the previous extract, there was no employee which was created or updated. Okay, so now let's pick up an employee and try to do an update. So let's pick this person up. Go back to the instance, go to home page. Let's update one of the employee. Go to person management. Search with a person number. You can pick up any person number from the first extract. Edit the person details. Correct or update, both are fine. Change this first name, remove UPD from the first name, change it back to Nicole. Click OK. Save and submit. A request was submitted, and we can validate whether the name is updated or not. Let's copy this person number, close. Search for the person again. And you see the name is updated. So we have updated an employee now. And we'll go back and run the extract again. Data exchange. Submit the extract. And this time the expectation is to see only a Nicole in the output. run 3. Change the attributes and kick off the request. So what you usually do is whenever you build an incremental extract, you will schedule it to run on a periodic basis, maybe 5 minutes or half an hour. And it will check what records are updated in that during that time period, generates a file and passes it on to the other system. If 10 employees are updated, 10 employees will be there in the file. If none of them are updated, none of them will be there in the file. A file will be blank. So let's wait for the request to finish.
Prasad, in this case, now when for HCM, we are doing two type of thing, right? One is we are doing updation, another one we are doing correction. In both cases, this incremental will consider that updated record, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
We have corrected the employee record. Even if you have updated it, it would pick it up.
Okay.
And pass it on. And this is another benefit of using HCM extracts, Nagarjuna. You asked why, what's the difference between this one and BIP report, right? If you have to make a BIP report work in an incremental way, you will have to plug in, you'll have to design query in such a way. So what you might probably do is you might probably look at the previous successfully completed request of that report, and you will pick up the timestamp from the last successful run, and you will see what records have been created after that successful run timestamp. Okay, so you will have to plug in that logic into your main query itself in a BIP if you want the BIP report to work as an incremental way. But you don't need to do all of it with HCM extracts because there is a built-in support for incremental extract.
No, each table will have that change run date, like creation date, any changes are. So based on that field, it's going to this increment.
Based on that field. Yeah. There will be last update date field on all the business objects for all the tables. So that will be acting as a reference for us. Look at the output generated. Copy the content ID. You should see only 2236 employee in the output. Okay, because only this employee has been updated from the previous successful run. Okay. Any questions, guys? Any questions in what we covered so far? The way incremental extracts work. Okay, I'll take it as no. And I've given some useful notes here, which you can refer in case you want to deep dive more into HCM extracts. I've covered all the important points that you need to know in HCM extract. We have built a normal extract. We've seen how to build a changes only extract. But you can use this, keep this for your reference purpose. And if you want to migrate an extract from one instance to another instance, how do you do it? It's quite simple. All you have to do is use the export option available in the HCM extract screen. You go to extract definition. You pick up any extract. Pick up the extract and you can export it using this option, export it. And after you export it, so the export will generate an XML file. It will generate an XML file. But remember, this XML is different from the output XML generated. So this XML does not contain the output. Instead, it contains the design of the extract. So the entire design of the extract that you have done, including the data groups, records, attributes, or the filters that you have applied, all of it will be captured as part of this XML file. Okay, so if you want to move this extract from this instance to another instance, you will log into that another instance. You'll click on the plus icon and you will not create a new one. You will use import option in the higher instance, maybe in SAT or UAT. You can choose the file. If it's an incremental one, you tick this box. If it's not an incremental one, you uncheck it. Choose file. You go to downloads and select the extract XML file that is generated. And you can give it a different name. Maybe you can say extract migration demo. Okay, click OK. So you export the extract that will generate an XML file, which will contain all the details of the extract, including the filters, data groups, records, attributes, etc. And you pick up that XML file, load it into another instance using the import option. That's how you migrate the extract from one instance to another one.
Prasad, one more quick question. This SCM extract is available for all the business objects in SCM, or it is only for certain key business objects it is available?
No, it's available for 90% of them.
Okay.
For most of them, you will find user entities.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
If for some reason this has failed, you can click on and download the log and see what could be the reason. We've seen this extract failing for the previous batch as well. You can look at the error, see what could be the reason. It says failed to validate all rows. Too many objects match the primary key. I'm not particularly sure why this has errored out, but one thing you need to take care of while doing a migration of extract is, it is fine for the normal extract, but in case you have used, in case there are dependencies with the extract, say for example, if you look at the FT14 EMPSN with fast formula extract, in this extract we are referring to a fast formula, right? So if you try to migrate this extract with the operos that I have shown you, you should not get this error. I think you probably got it because there is already one that exists in there, or maybe internal name. I'm not particularly sure. But if you are migrating an extract wherein you have some dependencies like the fast formulas used, before you migrate the extract to a higher instance or before you import it, ensure that you create the fast formula. So if you pick up this extract and import it into SAT or UAT instance, it will fail saying that a fast formula which is referred in the extract doesn't exist. Okay, so extract will not internally take care of the dependencies. You will have to explicitly manage them. Okay. Okay. Any questions, guys? Any questions in HCM extracts before we move on to the next one?
Yeah, Prasad, Pragati here. So when you create an HCM extract and you create a root data group and child data group, so we have seen only one child data group, right? If we create the next one, another child data group, say we want addresses or something. So do we create it as a child to the assignment, or do we create it as a child to the person?
It depends on the use case again. Whose child is it? So it could be a child of a lines, like a lines query or a detailed query, or it could be a child of parent. So again, it depends, right?
So depending.
Depending on the use
Yeah.
case.
You might be the join condition where it applies, so you create a child there.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Also, one more thing. When we attach an user entity to the data group, we can do an advanced search, right? So once
Correct.
we go there are multiple tabs. Like a query, like you showed yesterday. I could understand the remaining, but how about the context? Context ID or context something was there.
Okay, so if you go to view user entity details, this is what you're asking about, right? The context.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's search for person user entity. Even I'm not pretty sure on this one. What if we try to use a field or use a fast formula? Say for example, we created a fast formula yesterday, which was calculating the tax rate based on assignment marital status, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have added that on the assignment as an attribute. We've added that to the assignment group as an attribute. If you by mistake add that attribute at the person level, okay, the person user entity does not have assignment marital status per assignment marital status, and that was the database item we were referring in the fast formula. In such case, you will get an error saying that it could not find the required context for the per assignment marital status. So just giving you an example where you might get that error, but I'm not very sure on this one. But let's check it out once. Yeah.
So kind of it's not finding the link to which attribute it should assign.
Exactly. This. So if you pick this one up. So think of it as setting the operating unit context or something before you run the queries. Right, so you go to context. And you could see a few IDs are getting set as a context. So this context needs to be set before you could pull the details from the user entity. So and yeah, you can probably read more about it.
Yeah, might be kind of a where clause or something.
Not a where clause exactly, but when the query is getting executed in the background, right? So that this context will be set in which that query needs to be executed. So the query that you are setting here will get executed. Okay.
Based on this context, it will get executed. Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Yeah.
Professor, I think you explained that fast formula for data extraction. Right? So they're used only for rules. I think that my understanding that this fast formulas concept will be used for making rules, or we can write the queries or some. What is the purpose of? Can you give some?
No, the purpose of fast formula in fast formula you cannot write queries, because queries already Oracle has written for you and they are available as user entities. Why did we write the fast formula yesterday for tax rate? Because the tax rate is not available as a column in the user entity, right? So client is looking for an additional attribute in the extract whose value will be derived based on the logic that he wants to execute. So in such cases, you create a formula with the logic and you add that formula as an attribute in the extract definition. We have done it because a tax rate was not available as a feature in the as a column in the user entity. But fast formulas, as I mentioned yesterday, it is a very vast area, and there could be hundreds of other reasons where you might want to create a fast formula. Okay, so you have fast formulas for each modules in HCM. Okay, you can create quite a few for payroll, You can create few of them for absence management. You can create a formula and use it in absence management configuration to determine or to calculate the number of leaves that needs to be assigned to employees. Or you can also write a fast formula to validate the amount that needs to be paid out under a particular payroll element to a specific employee. So when you receive your salary, you get a payslip, right? And in the payslip, you see your payroll elements. You see the earnings elements and the deduction elements, basic salary, HRA, and all that stuff will be earnings. The deductions will be the income tax, professional tax, etc. Right? So the way a payroll works is, so on your person record there will be payroll elements loaded, and when payroll is executed, based on the elements that are applicable for your person record, they will be picked up and paid out. And when you're paying out, if you want any particular payroll element to be validated with the help of a fast formula, say for example you want to put in a restriction saying that a shift allowance cannot exceed $200, or maybe anything, any validation you want to do, you can probably write a fast formula, quickly pass it on to the functional consultant, and what they do, they will plug it in on the payroll element in the validation section. Okay, so that's how there are many reasons where you could create a fast formula. In fact, to be frank, you can find yourself a job if you just say that you are a good fast formula developer. It is such a vast area, as good as a Fusion technical consultant. Okay.
Okay. Mostly this is related to functional people, or we can technical person also can be expert.
Technical person needs to create the fast formulas. Functional will not do it. But your job will be to write the formula. Functional consultant job will be to talk to the client and make you understand what should be the content in that formula, what logic needs to go in there. You will write the formula, pass on the name back to the functional consultant, and the functional consultant will plug it into the configuration, be it using it in absence type configuration. If you have written a formula for say leave calculation, or he might add it to a payroll element entry validation in case you've written a formula to validate the amount. Okay, so yeah, you will write the formula, explaining the use case to you and configuring it in the application. Configuring it in the sense using the application, using the fast formula in the setups will be the job of the functional consultant. Writing the fast formula is technical consultant job.
Yeah, you explained that BI report. So there also we can do the fast formulas.
No, in BI report you cannot use the fast formulas there. There you can only because it's custom SQL, right? You can add in any columns you want. So there you actually don't need a fast formula there, because you can write the logic. So if you're asking about writing complex if then else logic and all that stuff, yes, it is not possible. You cannot refer a fast formula in a BI report, but you can do it in HCM extracts.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. There is one more topic to cover, guys, which we'll pick it up tomorrow. UI customizations. Okay. Thanks for your time, guys. Thank you. We'll meet again tomorrow, and tomorrow will be the last session. And probably on Saturday and Sunday, you will have a functional overview sessions with Ravi.
Okay. Prasad, one last question.
Yes.
How about PBL? Are we covering PBL?
No, we won't be covering PBL. Payroll batch loader, right?
Okay.
But I believe it works pretty much the same way as HDL. There would be some differences in terms of the format or the process, but yeah, it works in a similar fashion. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Prasad, one more thing, that functional classes are not happening properly, I guess. Okay, we had only 2 classes or something. After that, nothing happened. Last week also I logged in, but we are not getting any proper communication from institute also. Okay. And I am in a different time zone. We are getting up very early in the morning, 4 o'clock or 4:30. And I was logged in into this one, but after that I was waiting for 30 minutes and I again went to sleep. Okay. But I am not sure.
Okay. Yeah. I will highlight this to the. I'll highlight this to Ravi,
Okay.
Suresh. I understand.
Thank you very
Getting up
much.
early, waiting for.
Yes.
Yeah.
That too, it is a weekend for us, so we are waiting. Then after that, I'm going to bed again. Thank you very much, Prasad. Thanks a lot.
Sure, Suresh. I'll explain it. I'll highlight this to Ravi. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.